Dakota Pierce and Matthew Spurrier, the authors of How to Be a Powerful Modern Day Missionary and Have Fun Doing It.
Oh, yeah.
They're here at Cedar Fort to talk about their book. We're going to be talking about COVID-19, what that means for missionaries, as well as different topics that were in their book. But first, let's introduce you guys yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Matthew Spurrier, born in Salt Lake City, Utah. Just graduated from the University of Utah. Excited to move to Texas in the fall and keep helping people do missionary work.
Yeah, my name's Dakota Pierce. Matt and I both served in the Singapore mission in Malaysia, 2014, 2016. We served as companions for 5 months. I'm from Los Angeles, Thousand Oaks, California. Grew up there, went to school at MIT in Boston, studied aerospace engineering, and I work for Apple now. So yeah.
All right, perfect. So we're just going to have a nice little discussion. And for those who are watching this, remember to click on the free download to read a free chapter of the book. So first off, what was your guys' inspiration to get this book?
Yeah,
to make it?
That's a great question. So originally, Dakota's brother was actually preparing to serve a mission, and we just started writing out some thoughts like, hey, this would have helped us. This would have helped us get ahead in that first year. A lot of times missionaries talk about how in their first year they kind of learn how to be a missionary. In the second year, second 6 months, then they get to actually be a missionary. And so with that, we started writing out a bunch of thoughts, and then one day we were just like, dude, we can make a book out of this. Like, this is good stuff.
Yeah, we started we would send emails to return missionaries like my brother, or not return missionaries in the field like my brother, or preparing missionaries, just like a bunch of thoughts, and people loved it. They were like, we need this. And then we just made it a longer and longer email until eventually we're like, this is too long for an email. It started being like the email wouldn't send, it was too long, so we just made it into a short book.
So we live in really strange times right now. COVID-19, there was a huge pandemic, and everything shut down. I'm sure our future children will be like, wow, in 2020 things were nuts.
It is nuts.
But missionary work has changed
Totally
because of this. And you work for the church.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this, and what have you seen?
Well, definitely. The one thing is, if we look at it in a bright perspective, missionary work's continuing on. People still need to know how to reach out to others. They need to know how to talk to people, to teach well. They need to know how to work with their companion while they're on their mission. Whether you're teaching over Skype, whether you're helping on Facebook, whether you're knocking doors, your places are opening, missionary work's still alive, it's still running, and all the skills in this book that we teach, they apply whether you're doing it digitally or you're doing it face-to-face. And I think the power of the coronavirus right now is a lot of missionaries actually have the opportunity to come home, take a break, and evaluate, for the next X part of my mission, how do I want to change? How do I want to be better? They might have a lot of questions, why wasn't this working out? How do I could do this? Or how are things different in the States? Are they different? This book, How to Be a Powerful Modern Day Missionary, it'll answer a lot of those questions for people that they weren't able to find the answer to, because it pulls from not only our experience on our mission, but also coming home. We continue to both do missionary work as return missionaries in the United States and other places when we travel, and all these principles apply.
Yeah, I think the definition of a modern day missionary is really exciting, like how it's changed over the years. If you look back 100 years ago, people went on missions and then they would send a letter back, every 6 months or something, and you'd never hear from you never talk to your family or anything. And now as things go on, they just made the rule where you can Skype with your family, I think, almost anytime you want, which is super cool. So it's the modern day missionary, it's who you are. It's not just you go for 2 years or you go for 18 months or it's like who you are as a person. It's, being a missionary day to day. So I think all these missionaries that are coming back because of the corona pandemic, you're in your home with your family, but you're still a missionary. Everyone is a missionary, every member a missionary, right? But so I think that kind of concept is what we're trying to address, is what a modern day missionary is and how you can do it for your whole life.
Yeah, I think one thing with the whole rule, I know there was a lot of backlash at first of, wow, the missionaries, they're getting soft because they can FaceTime and call their families. But it's actually made my family, my brother's on a mission right now, it's actually made my family more involved. Because each week they're like, what are you doing? Who are you teaching?
Exactly.
And then they feel like they can get some insight and advice on what they can do and vice versa.
I think with that too, not every missionary out there has family who are members of the church. So think of the power of them Skyping home, being like, I'm going to teach you a lesson today. Like, let's do this. Like, you're going to get baptized. Like, I think you'd be surprised, I think you'd be surprised how many lives it's changing, that one rule, and also how it's helped a lot of missionaries. Mental health is a real issue, and just having your familiar support, it's helping a lot of people. It's been extremely powerful. So,
would you guys have wished that? Do you guys wish that rule had been in place when you guys were on the mission?
Yeah, I would have loved it.
It would have helped a lot of missionaries and us as well.
I would have loved it.
And I, like you said, I think it gets the families involved, and it makes it, every member in missionary really possible, which is cool.
When you were talking about, some of these missionaries, they're coming home just for a quick bit,
yeah,
and it's time for them to reevaluate. If one of the missionaries came to you and said, hey guys, what are some things that I should reevaluate or think about reevaluating, what would you say to them?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's Matt and I both had our most powerful missionary experiences after our missions, when we were home. I remember riding in an Uber with a guy who's from China in Boston. I was going to school there after my mission, and we just started talking and invited him to church, and his whole family got baptized, and I had never baptized a family on a mission. So I think when you come home, it's important to evaluate, even if it's just for 2 weeks, how am I going to be as a normal citizen, as a normal church member with sharing the gospel? And I think you don't have to change everything that you've done on your mission. You can still be that powerful missionary in the modern day.
Yeah, and what an interesting perspective to, have the badge and have the feelings. You just came home, and then be at home and be able to be like, what in my daily life would fit here, and what must I change but still be powerful at? How do I still talk to strangers? How do I still plan effectively? How do I work with my companion, whether that's brothers or fellow students? How do you work with your future spouse, your parents, anyone? The purpose of this book isn't to say do these things. It will change you as a person, and then by changing yourself, you'll be more successful.
So that's a good segue to our next topic about, you guys talk about in the book, the perfect companion. And what I thought was funny was it doesn't exist.
Promise.
Yeah.
You listed 32 attributes, and then you would rate in I think 1 to 10.
Yeah.
The numbers that were in the book were really high for whoever had that. You being married and you dating, did you guys use that attribute in your dating and married life?
Yeah, no, for sure. So the backstory is I took this test in a district meeting. What happened is they asked us to rate yourself, basically. And so me being like, I'm like a 5 out of 10 on humility or whatever, all these different attributes. And then you rate what you want your companion to be. And I was looking at my companion, and I had put all 10s. And so I realized that I was looking for something that I couldn't even provide myself, and that was very hypocritical. And so I think there's no perfect companion. Everyone has weaknesses. Even Matt and I had a great companionship, great friendship, lifelong best friends, and we still writing this book. We have come to see each other's weaknesses.
For sure,
are not perfect together.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, you can learn so much from each other. But I realized when I did that test, and other people had the same kind of realization, was that it's important when you're working with someone to focus on their strengths and then recognize your own weaknesses instead of doing the opposite, which I think a lot of people, it's really easy to do, and you expect perfection in someone else when you don't recognize what you're working on.
Were you able to take this into your marriage?
Yeah. Well, I think something that's been powerful is the idea of perfect companions. So something I did on my mission a lot is we call it the 2-in-1 rule. So during companionship inventory, you could say 2 or more things that were great about your companion that week, and even if you had a laundry list of all the things that were annoying, you could pick one of them, and that's what you could say. This is the one thing I need you to work on because it's driving me nuts, or I think this will help our companionship, or I think this will help you, or whatever the reason is. You can give them one, and you can tell them all the other great things about them. My wife and I still do that almost every Sunday. We have companionship inventory, and we talk about what are things that we need to change and we need to grow and work on together. And it's powerful. The reason it's most powerful is if you only pick that one thing, by the time you get to the next week, probably 80% of that list that was annoying is gone. Mm-hmm. And you realize how trivial some of the things were. Man, why do I care if this is how they iron their shirt, or they leave the milk carton? I can just throw it away. It's not worth my time. It drives out the spirit. I can't be effective because I'm just thinking about why they're annoying instead of thinking about maybe why I'm annoying, and how our lives are so different that, let's bring together our strengths and let's change people's lives together. That's the beauty of missionary work, is you're taking people from so different worlds and bringing them together, and then you're doing a work that, God says he uses the weak, and, 18, 19-year-olds, they're the weak. And senior missionaries, like, you don't have the middle people that think they know it all. You have those that don't know anything, and those that know they don't know anything. And everyone in between is not doing it because they're not good. Like, God, he uses the weak to do his work, and I've seen that for sure.
I would just add that, like going along with what Matt said, my companions were so different from me.
Yeah.
I was this nerd coming from MIT that wanted to be a rocket scientist, and my first companion was this kid from Logan, Utah, who thought he was a cowboy. He literally wore cowboy boots to the EDC, and he would yeehaw and had this cowboy hat, and I was like, I couldn't handle it. Like, I just couldn't do it. And then we worked together. I mean, it took time, and we realized that we were both there for the right reasons. We wanted to serve God, and we wanted to serve the people. And because of that, me and him became best friends, and I was able to, become a little cowboy in me, and so it was good. And I think that's part of companionships. You learn how to work with people, and you experience a whole plethora of different personalities.
Yeah. It's like a weird form of dating as well, because you're like, man, when I marry someone, they're not going to be like,
really, that's 100%, so funny.
100%.
Like, literally, this is funny, but when we came home, we were both like, man, I want to marry someone just like you. And that's 100% real. I think when I think about companions, there's 3 types of companions that you're going to meet on your mission. The ones you honestly don't get along with, find your strengths, find your commonalities, make it work. Number 2, the ones that just click. Those ones, I mean, treat them like gold, because you don't get that many. They don't always click. And then the 3rd companion, everyone in between. Like, there's going to be some things you love about them, some things you don't, but that's life. When you leave high school, when you go on a mission, when you come home, when you're in college, many times you don't get to choose who you're in groups with in college. You don't get to choose your, employees, your people you work with, but you get to choose how you react and work with them. And that's what a mission is teaching you. There's all these skills that you learn on your mission that you don't realize will impact you. But if you take a step back and realize how it's going to change your life, companions, I would say, is probably one of the most important.
Yeah, we took a survey, and that was the number one thing, was difficult companions that missionaries struggle with on their mission.
Well, I remember on my mission, someone asked the mission president, like, what book should I be studying, like, after my mission besides the scriptures, like, and then, do I need the discourses? Do I need the doctrine of salvation? And he was just like, the preach my gospel is literally everything you need to be a successful human being.
Yeah. It is true. 100%.
Yeah.
Like, preach my gospel. Like, I still reference preach my gospel today. Like, writing this book and reflecting on missionary experiences changed me as a person. I feel like that's the best thing any return missionary could do.
Yeah.
So with preach my gospel, you learn set a lot of goals. In your daily planner, it was funny to show the comparison of when you first got out, pretty blank, and then by the end of it, filled. You guys even had backup plans.
Oh yeah,
I remember what we didn't do.
Double backup plan, or a backup plan, 100%. I'm a firm believer in like the 4th backup plan, because that's the one that actually works. It's the one you don't even know about.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. We have some stories in the book about using our backup to the backup to the backup plan and seeing miracles.
We got time. You guys do you have a story?
We do. Yeah. We had one. So we had I think it was a backup plan to a backup plan.
Yeah.
It was a preparation day. It was the end of the preparation day. We had gotten. It was like 6 p.m. We went to dinner. I think was our first plan. We usually try to sit with people at dinner. Didn't work. We sat with someone who wasn't interested. We had a little bit of time left. We looked at our planner. We saw that we had scheduled to go to the Botanic Gardens, which in Singapore is like the tourist spot. We weren't gonna find any real investigators. We don't teach tourists. Usually they're there for a week. So we're like, why did we put this there? We're actually pretty confused.
I was like, did you write this? Not like, who thought of going? This is like, essentially we're saying this is a waste of time. Why would we write this down? Like, why did we waste our time writing it down? That was a waste of time by itself.
But we wrote it down, so we're like, all right, we're gonna go do it. Like, we said a prayer. We're like, all right, we're going. We go to this place, and we have a picture in the book. This book is full of pictures, and the picture we took a picture in the back. There's like little hut thing in the Botanic Gardens, and we just took a picture of the phone. We're like, there was no one there.
It was empty.
we're like, why are we here? We'll take a selfie. We walk around. We walk into this hut, and there's this. We were in a Filipino ward at the time. And there's this Filipino woman sitting there reading the Bible of all things.
Yeah.
So we just go sit down, and we go start reading Matthew chapter 5 or something, where they're like Sermon on the Mount. whatever. And then she got baptized 3 weeks
Yeah,
later.
3 weeks
Craziest
later.
story ever. And we were like, wow, that was our backup plan. Like, obviously, we put that in there for some reason. We didn't really know why.
Yeah, and who even knows if we put it in there? Like, it could, like that could have been straight God
But,
miracle.
but the point is, like, plans are so important, and they will change your mission. If you can learn how to plan, like, we talk about in the book, like, having a different plan every hour of the day.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. Because like missionary work can get boring unless you plan well. Like that is so key. If you plan well, you will be happy.
Yeah.
And if you're a happy missionary, you will have success. Because
and you'll have
attitude
fun.
is everything.
And a mission doesn't have to be boring.
Yeah.
We had so much fun, like too much fun. Honestly, sometimes it was amazing.
Yeah,
and it was helpful, and we were helping people, but it was fun.
We fought so hard to have the subtitle on and have fun doing it because a mission is so fun, and that's like. But it begins like if you plan well, you can have that fun.
Yeah, and I think the reason we're so big on planning is because we realized, I think in the scriptures, Nephi is a great example. He had a plan when he was trying to get the plates. He had a plan to first just go talk to him. Then he had a backup plan to get the plates, to give his gold. And then his final plan was like, in God I trust. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but whatever. I'm going to follow the Spirit. And I think what's beautiful about that is it shows God two things. One, it shows him that you have real intent. You have put effort into trying to accomplish what he's given you. If you just say, I'm going to go contact people, well, what does God do with that? What does contacting mean? Like that's so trivial. But if you have a plan, God knows where you're going to be. He knows your intent because he can't force your agency. But if you tell him, this is where I'm going, put people in my path, he'll do it every time.
For sure. It reminds me of, you talking about Nephi had a plan that, like, even David and Goliath, he grabbed 5 stones.
Yeah.
Like, what if the first one had missed?
Yeah.
He knew God was with him.
Yeah.
But if he had missed, well, he had...
You have 4 more.
He had 4.
You need 4 more backup plans.
What I like about your guys' story about that woman is, had you guys not been there, you might not have... Who knows if she had gone the gospel in this life?
No,
I am like a firm believer that you are putting to your mission for the specific purpose to meet specific people that only you guys can reach, and I'm sure maybe you guys planning were like botanical gardens, and there was a reason why you guys were there. Setting plans. How's that helped you with returning home though? With your plans, are you guys still just as good at setting, like making plans?
Yeah, I mean, I use a daily to-do list still. So the to-do list in the planner, it was huge for me. It was how I made sure I got everything I'd done I wanted. I don't plan out every hour of the day. I mean, work's pretty structured. I know I have to get my homework done. I know I want to spend time with my wife. So I structure it generally. But setting goals and then physically writing them down. There's a picture in the book of my planner that I had and all the goals I had written that I worked on for the last 6 months of my mission. And I still do that. I set quarterly goals and yearly goals. Quarterly goals add up to the yearly goals, and then I make weekly goals to make sure I hit my quarterly and yearly goals. And honestly, I think that's why I've been able to get so much done since I've been home. Whether it's writing a book, I started a nonprofit organization. I've worked a lot of amazing jobs. I've met a lot of amazing people. I've been a lot of amazing places, and I would attribute most of it to setting goals, because I think that's an attribute that God wants us to practice. In Preach My Gospel, it talks about it. Elder Russell M. Ballard says, I'm so thoroughly convinced that if we don't set goals in our life and learn how to master the techniques of living to reach our goals, we can reach a ripe old age and look back on our life only to see that we reached a small part of our full potential. So I'll take that promise to the bank. I'm gonna try and hit my full potential, and God's with you at every step of the way. So
yeah, I would just add, like Matt and I, we love goals so much. Like
so much.
I would just add, it's also really important to make sure that you don't let your goals become your master.
Totally.
Like goals are a tool. Like your master, it should be your priority to love God and serve other people.
Totally.
And so it's really key. Like as you're setting goals, and I will attribute like everything in this book. Like it can help non-members too. Like the principles in here are just for a successful life. Like a successful missionary is someone that can have a successful life, because the principles in here, they are spiritually based, but they're really focused on like the mental, social, and emotional skills that are needed as a missionary. Yeah. And those skills can be applied in anyone's life, not just someone preaching the gospel. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I think that when you said that, it reminded me of a story. Dakota and I became slave to our goals. Yeah, and that's why we learned that principle. The first 3 months we were together, we were serving in the office, and we wanted to be an example for all the missionaries. And man, we just got lost in the goals and hitting the goals, but no real success came out of it. Forgetting the names, forgetting the reasons, forgetting the real important things. The why. God humbled us 100%. Nothing ever worked for us. For 3 months straight, we were like, man, up until now, like, especially in like, up and coming before companionship, like becoming our companionship, we were doing great. Things were going extremely well. We got together and like, I was like desperate. I was like, I don't know why we are like, basically, I felt like a failure for months. We sat down with our mission president. We were like, what is going on? And he simply said, like, I think there's a greater lesson in here. And that's what it was. Like, don't be a slave to your goals. Be the master of your goals. And you know what? If you realize, 2 months into a goal that it doesn't make you happy, then don't do it. Yeah. It's easy. That's being the master of your goals, not saying, I have to change because I wrote this down. Being flexible and asking God if this goal is right. Because God knows what he needs you to become, and he'll be there to reinforce the good things and to pull the spirit away or nudge you in the right direction.
For sure. I guess what we're going to end this off with just one final question. That's broken up into 3 mini questions.
Yeah.
What's your advice? What would you be? Let's start off with this one. What's your advice for someone who they're going on their mission in a week? And you're going to go to the airport and they say, "Hey, Dakota, Matt, why don't you guys meet me at the airport and give me some final words of wisdom?"
Well, first I would say read this book.
Yeah.
Because everything in here will prepare.
If you didn't read the book, have you read the book already? No, it's over.
Yeah. This thing's 134 pages.
You could probably read it.
You could read it in a day.
Yeah.
Like, you got 6 extra days to now apply these principles before you leave. So,
if you have a little more time, the first chapter of our book talks about your why, right? So the most important thing besides reading this book, I would say, is to understand why you want to go on a mission, why you love God, why you believe in God, why you believe in Jesus Christ, why you believe in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And if you can know that, then you'll be more powerful than anything we can teach you in this book. Like 100%. And that's what we talk about in the first chapter. So if you have that time to go out and make sure you understand your why, not your mom's why. We talk about in the book, like, don't go on your mission and be like, "Hey, please join the church because my mom knows it's true and I'm here preaching for her." Like, don't do that. Like, that's not going to be successful. You're not going to be happy doing
You'll
that.
be miserable.
Yeah. And I've had companions, and we know lots of missionaries that do that. And it's okay if you have to go on your mission, you don't know exactly why you're there.
Yeah.
But if you can, like, try and figure out why you're there, why you believe as a person. That would be my main point of advice.
Yeah, man. I think you stole mine, but I think a second one would be to evaluate. I think of Ether. Try and evaluate your strengths and weaknesses and understand that going in, that you don't need to be perfect. Like I said, 10 minutes ago, God preaches the gospel with the weak, and it's okay to have weaknesses. It's okay to not feel like you fully understand everything. It's okay to not have every answer because, the mission, you'll go change people's lives, but I think additionally, the mission will change you. And the last chapter of this book is called, your mission, the MTC for life. And I believe that's true. I believe that we have the MTC to prepare us for our missions, and we have our missions to prepare us for a lifetime, if not an eternity, of missionary service. Because, God says, "My work and my glory is to bring to pass the immortality and eternal life of man." And he does missionary work. He could do it alone, but he lets us be a part of it. Yeah. So, figure out where you're at and be okay with change and be okay with growth and be open to opportunities.
Yeah, I would just add, like, missionary work is supposed to be fun. So, like, if you're about to go on a mission, relax and enjoy it. Because it's like God does the missionary work for eternity, and, like, he has a blast doing it. We talked about that. And, like, you should too. So learn how to do that. Relax, have a great time. Like, it is awesome.
Don't overdo it inside. Don't think you have to be a robot.
Stress yourself out,
And, it's okay. We have repentance, you can make mistakes, but never stop changing, never stop trying to be like Christ, never try, because the day you decide that, I'm just going to, I'll sit around and not do anything. Well, this sounds rude, but why be there? Like, go home. Like, it's fine. But I would prefer if you didn't. And I would prefer if you stayed and changed, because that's part of the reason you're there. Your first convert should be yourself, and that's powerful.
Oh, for sure. I like what you guys said, though. And that's, I'll have to make an Instagram post out on our Facebook about I'm here to give you a testimony because my mom.
Yeah. It's in the book.
Yeah.
Challenge number 1. Yeah. We have all these challenges.
Yeah. Because I remember, like, you'd see missionaries, and I was the one where I got my testimony on the mission, and I see missionaries just slaying it from the get-go. I'm like, what the heck? And mine came 6 months in, and then I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing now. But yeah, if you can get that early start, I was like, man, if I go back to those first 6 months, I would have hit a lot more people.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because you can't go back. You get one mission. You never get it again. There will be no other time in your life you're like, oh man, missionary work's hard. No, I would go back to missionary work any day because you're not balancing work and school and 1,000 other things. Like people are helping you there. You have an apartment. You have food. Oh, it's like literally all you do is think about Jesus Christ. Like looking back, I couldn't think of an easier thing to do and a more enjoyable thing that is more important and more pertinent to salvation in your life.
Oh yeah. For sure. I remember us talking about that and have fun doing it in our acquisition meeting. Like, should we keep it? And I just remember thinking, a missionary when I got into my mission, met my zone leader, and he said, "I'm going to give you one piece of advice: you make sure every day you have fun.
Yeah,
and if you didn't have fun that day, you probably didn't do a good job."
Yeah.
And so I had fun, and I remember I was like, "Guys, please."
Yeah.
I'm sure these guys wanted on.
Yeah, no, we did.
Got to keep it. Last question is any advice for someone returning home and they just feel lost? Like, gosh, my life on my mission was so structured, and now the world is my oyster, and yet I feel terrible. What would you say to those people?
I mean, there's so many principles in this book that I think a returned missionary can apply. I would say, like, number one, kind of going back to planning. Like, I think you have to stay back and be like, what are my priorities for the next 6 months or the next 3 months or whatever time frame you want? And then based on those priorities or those, kind of overarching goals, setting some plans. Like, I'm going to read the scriptures every day, or I'm going to, go help out with this organization, or I'm going to go help my mom or dad or whatever. I'm going to get a job or something. But just setting some structure in the mission, like you have all this structure and you have a daily plan. You're supposed to do this thing every single hour. I think it helps you have to just learn how to do that on your own. It takes some practice.
Yeah, I think with that, being okay with the idea that you don't have to have it all figured out. Yeah. I went home and was like, I'm going to go. I was ready to, become a doctor, and I went through it all. And taking a step back, I realized there were things I loved about my mission that becoming a doctor wouldn't give me. And so I changed. And had I been okay with not knowing everything and not feeling like I have to, finish it all right now, and let's do this, let's start life. Like, it's okay to take time and, receive revelation. Think about, what do you want, plan, and, have fun.
And I would
have some fun.
I would just add, don't stop being a missionary.
Yeah.
Like, you don't.
Do
it doesn't have
forever.
to be like 2 years and out. Like, it shouldn't be that way. Like, it is an MTC for life. Like, you're supposed to apply, and you have when you come back from your mission, you have the best missionary skills that you've ever had. Right after 2 years, like, you are so practiced. You got the lessons down. Not that you ever need to use them, but you have the idea of how to share the gospel. You know what makes people feel awkward. You know when to push people past their comfort zone. And so, don't let that go to waste. Use it in your job, use it in sharing the gospel, use it in a plethora of
everything.
different
Be a missionary forever. Because if you do that, the reason you're uncomfortable is you're changing your identity again. You went from not being a missionary, let's be honest, 95% of kids in high school do no missionary work. Let's be real. I mean, there are places that do, but especially speaking from experience, I went to a high school with 70% of the senior class being LDS, 40% of them going on missions. Who was I going to share the gospel with? Well, there were kids I could have, but I didn't. But you changed your identity. You became a disciple of Christ. Don't re-change and go back to your old ways. Stay a missionary, and I promise you will feel that light for the rest of forever, and it'll it's like holding an iron rod.
And don't shy away from sharing about your mission. I grew up in LA and I went to school in Boston, so I talked about my mission all the time.
People love it.
I know Matt can speak to being in Utah, but for me, I talked about it all the time. When I interviewed with Apple, I interviewed for a operations job, and they only asked me about my mission. I only told mission experiences, and they ate it up. Apple loved it so much. Yeah. And so I just say, don't shy away from sharing it, being you, and just taking that experience with you and making the most.
I still think that's crazy. You went to MIT, and all they asked you about was your mission. I mean, that's real.
They didn't care about. I worked for NASA. And they didn't care anything.
He knows operations from his schooling and everything. What does he talk about for his hour interview? Let's talk about mission stories. Because guess what? That's what you learn on your mission is operations. People don't understand the skills they're learning as you're going into it. Man, if you're not sure you want to go on a mission, just go. I mean, we said don't do that, but it's better than not because you're going to learn so much that'll change your life, and I promise you can gain a testimony.
Just go for the work experience.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're it does help. I will say 100%.
I wouldn't say that's why you should
go
go
because of God, though.
Yeah, go for God, but man,
There's so
many
benefits.
blessings that it will change your life. It really will. I could say that 100 times, as I have probably. We'll read back through this, and it's like, wow, all he said was that. But this book, it'll change your life. It changed mine. The principles changed mine, and that's what I believe in. That's why we wrote it. That's why it took 2.5 years to distill the simplicity of this book into something that's powerful, and it was worth it. But it was a lot of work, and don't let it go to waste.
The point of this book,
change your life,
is just to help you have fun on your mission, but also to give you the skills that we took so long to learn. Just want to give you a jump start, because we had so much fun on the second half of our mission. The first half we had to learn these principles, and they're in Preach My Gospel, but this book is there as kind of a substitute for Preach My Gospel for people preparing to go on a mission. Preach My Gospel is really good. We love it more than anything, but it's really good for people on their missions more. It's focused. It's a little more in depth. This is kind of a cheat sheet to that, and we think it can really focus on the teenage, population.
For sure. Well, hey, thanks guys so much for talking about the book.
Thanks for having us.
And guys, make sure to go buy How to Be a Powerful Modern Day Missionary, currently available at cedarfort.com. Is that hard?